I want to see a trailer and I want to go like, man, I want to watch this movie.
100%.
That's what has to happen. You cannot tell me in 15,000 interviews, please come and see my film, you will love it, when I've seen a trailer and not love it.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassed to tell people that I wanted to do film.
Wow.
A story about heroes can ask for. It's real, but somehow, strangely enough, forgotten. Even freedom of expression, it cannot be at the cost of creating some kind of a scenario or a situation which disrupts somebody else's life. The minute you're going to get crass and try to sensationalize, it could offend people. We have a great history of making social dramas, which have pretty much like kind of dried out. Like with my parents, I think their biggest concern was they can see that there is something in this kid when it comes to being an entertainer, but he's not serious about anything. Today, I can shoot a film on my phone and I can edit it on my laptop and I can release it on the net.
Yeah.
The amount of people I know for a fact, when that film was announced, there was a generation of kids who were not aware of the 78
Of course.
and they went back and saw it. It was very disappointing for me for sure. For reasons of just the amount of work that had gone into it, the kind of film that it was, what it represented. Till I decided to do Dawn. For that year, I was really, really low. I really wondered that is this for me? The first film that I was ever approached for to act in was...
Hello, Farhan.
Hi.
And congratulations on 120 Bahadur and the teaser dropping.
Thank you.
First of all, I must tell you, it's an absolute honor to sit with you because I grew up with your cinema. The 2000s were my formative years of cinema.
Right.
So please don't mind if I indulge with a lot of anecdotes. And
Please do. Please
yes.
do. Thank you.
So first of all, I wanted to ask you that, this is your acting appearance probably after 4 years. I last saw you in Toofaan.
Yeah.
And that was probably also shot before the pandemic, I would believe.
We finished shooting that on the 15th of Feb, I think it was.
Okay.
March.
Okay.
15th of March. And I think the 19th of March or 18th of March was when the lockdown was announced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of when we finished. We just finished filming 3 days before. And for me, the unfortunate part of it was that I had done the overweight look.
Okay.
Was the last thing that I shot.
Oh my God. And then lockdown.
And I had this plan that now this shoot will get done on the 15th. Next day, bang, I'm in the gym. Next 3 months, I'm getting rid of these, 12, 14 kgs that I've put on, get back into shape. And everything was shut.
God.
So I was stuck in what I refer to as fat adju for good, as long as that first lockdown lasted.
It's crazy that I can never imagine Farhan even being slightly overweight.
Yeah,
all my
that's quite
life
an
you've been.
experience,
Yes.
Yeah.
But tell me then, it took 4 years. I'm sure this has also been a process of something coming to you which you truly resonated with.
Yeah.
So what was it about the Battle of Rezang, or specifically the regiment that fought, that really intrigued you?
Yeah, Anmol, it's a once in a lifetime story. It's an incredible tale of heroism, character, commitment, discipline, determination. There's everything that a story about heroes can ask for. It's real. You can research it and read up about every single person who was involved in this battle. But somehow, strangely enough, forgotten. There's a section, of course, of society
Very
that knows
little
about
is known
it.
about
But very
it.
little.
Yes.
A section of society that knows about it. Of course, the Ahir community speaks about it all the time because, there were 120 Ahir soldiers who fought it. So for them, it's a matter of massive pride, this battle. But somehow it's not traveled. The story is not traveled beyond that. So when it came to me via Rezang, who's the director of the film, who's an army kid, who's been hearing the story for the last 20, 25 years of his life, I just connected to it immediately, and not so much. Of course, what I'm playing, the role of Major Shaitaan Singh Bhati, is an incredible role. He's an incredible human being, a great leader who led, leading, as they say, at the front, not sending his men forward, but leading them on. But over and above that, the story of this group, of the 120, to me is a fascinating story. And that is something currently, in the teaser, you don't get so much of that. It's something we want to build up towards because that really is, for me, where the heart of the story lies.
But Farhan, was that then very important from a screenplay perspective that it obviously celebrates a leader like Major
Yeah.
Shaitaan Singh, but is also dedicated to the Ahir community?
Yeah, that's the reason we've called it 120
Bahadur.
Bahadur. You know, I mean, I remember when the script came, it was, I mean, tentatively titled Shaitaan Singh.
Yeah.
When we got it, which, I mean, if you ask anybody, is a very powerful title. My
Yeah,
God, what a great title to have. But both Rezi and I were of the belief that it would be doing an injustice to everybody, to the characters in the script, in the story and in life. Because although he motivated them, he inspired them, and like I said, he led from the front. But it really was a victory that belonged to all of them together. You know, so to somehow put all this, lay the crown, you know, down at one person's feet without giving recognition to the others would have been very, very wrong and unfair. So, which is why we've called it 120 Bahadur, because that's really who the film is about.
Truly.
It's about everything.
You know, I think with the teaser, what stuck with me the most was on how the film looked visually.
Yeah.
It's Tetsuo Nagata who's done the cinematography,
Yeah.
right? Is this your return to Ladakh after Lakshya?
No, I went there for Bhaag Milkha Bhaag.
Oh, Bhaag Milkha Bhaag. Yes.
I went there. So once every 10 years approximately,
wow.
I do a trip. So I
because
would like to believe some of my most memorable work happened there. I'm going to start getting superstitious
Fingers crossed,
about this stuff.
I really want to know, like, I remember reading your interviews when you were talking about Lakshya, and you were talking about how it was such a logistical nightmare and connectivity and roads at that time. Is it substantially better now?
It's like two different Ladaks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, the way that they have the connectivity right now in Ladakh is incredible. The quality of road there is incredible. I was getting jealous going from Mumbai to a place like that and being like, yaar, yahan par raste itne achhe hain, Mumbai mein kyun aise? Why aren't they like this? And again, I mean, there were no cell phones when we were shooting there for Lakshya. Although there was in Mumbai, in the cities in India there was, but it had not reached Ladakh yet. So we were still on landlines at that time. Now you're getting connectivity. I mean, out in the middle of nowhere, we're shooting a scene. I mean, maybe you have to go a little, 10 paces up a hill to get some signal, but you're still getting it, you know. And so, it's a world of a difference.
World of a difference. I was the most intrigued about this one shot from the teaser, which was the point of combat, which is this 6-second long shot from that. Is that also something that, at least my pet peeve with movies right now is on how digitally rendered the backgrounds looked, but this seemed so visceral, almost as if we were on the ground. Was action choreography and what went down there an integral part of the film?
Yeah, so the first thing that Rezi, and I have to give him and Tetsuo full credit for this, is that they were very clear we are not getting into a green screen situation at all. Whatever we do, we're going to do live. I mean, there can be enhancements, like snowfall and that kind of stuff, muzzle flashes and those things. He's like, but we are not going to get into creating the environment virtually. So which then meant that not just me, but obviously all the actors and the stunt performers, all of us were here day on day, actually on this very floor that we are sitting right now. We would meet every evening and run through the choreography for like days on end. And then we traveled to Ladakh 2 weeks prior to filming and started doing our rehearsals there, because that's a completely different demand of what we can do here easily is not easily done there. And just kind of worked our way up into a place where it could be done live, So, that's really...
It shows in the frames, Farhan.
Thank you.
It's crazy on how much of a difference it makes when you're on the ground.
And that shot that you've seen is, I mean, I didn't time it, but if you're seeing it's about 6 seconds, which it probably is. But it's a segment of a shot that's roughly about 21 or 22 seconds long. That's actually the whole one.
That's lovely. Farhan, just an extension of all of this, I just wanted to ask you, from what I've noticed, so on the channel we review movies every weekend or so, and then what happens is that whenever a movie is based on real events or is a reflection of what's happening in society, the frustrating thing for me as a viewer is seeing the inconsistencies with the censor. Like movies like a Dhadak that releases has like 16 cuts, and like a Superman will have like a romantic kiss and then it'll be cut down for 10 seconds.
Right.
Is there any frustration that comes with wanting to tell the story as authentically as you want, and then the roadblocks that come that way? Has this always existed?
Well, I mean, the CBFC has been around for the entire
Your
duration of my career and way longer. And I think the only thing that any filmmaker would hope for is consistency. I think that's the only thing that you can hope for.
Yeah.
Any rule or yardstick that you are going to apply to my film, then that should be the same thing that you apply to everyone. Or then if you're not applying it to others, why are you applying it to me? I think that's the only thing that you can really, really hope for. Also, in my career, I have never come to a place in any of the work that I've done or that I've been associated with where we've been challenged by the CBFC in this kind of way. And it's not that we've not wanted to make films that could be risque or that could be saying something that may be considered controversial. It's not about that. But I think what maybe is recognized could be is the intention with which you're making the film. I'm taking external factors out of the equation here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at times the society can be in a certain degree of turmoil that maybe has to make the CBFC act in a certain way. That's quite possible. It happened during the emergency, for example.
Yes.
So that's possible. But more often than not, I think if the committee that's sitting there recognizes that certain things outside the consistent bylaws or rules that they need to follow, if they need to challenge something or ask questions about something, that maybe could be that they are also questioning the intention of the filmmaker. That's possible. But we have seen some serious inconsistencies for sure.
That's so interesting because then at one point of time, intention is something that only can be defended by the creator. So hopefully they're like revising committees and stuff that can help them give their point of view.
I think having open communication,
that's key. Of
course.
I
think that is. I think no one should come into at the end of the day, for the lack of any other way to put it, and if your film is not just something that they watched, it's universal great, you're done. Or then it's, it's a little bit mature. If a child is going to watch it, there should be an adult, you're done.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it comes to a place where it requires dialogue to try and understand why is this in the film, if the filmmaker doesn't have an answer for it, to me, that's a problem. I think it's important to defend your work.
100%.
And if you have that, then at the end of the day, you look at this meeting like what should happen then from both sides is on some level, there has to be some elbow room afforded by the censor board to the filmmaker.
True.
So it has to work both ways. It has to. And there has to be social responsibility here. I'm not of the belief system that you've just made a film, so chalo, great, I'm saying what I want to say.
True.
I actually recently watched a little clip of KK, Menon the actor, talking about freedom and freedom of expression. And I found the way he mentioned it very, very interesting. So he was talking about that freedom is also freedom when it functions within certain boundaries. Like, so you can be whatever you want in your house. You like roaming around naked, but you can do that in your house. So that freedom is still restricted by the boundary of your house. So similarly, even freedom of expression, it cannot be at the cost of creating some kind of a scenario or a situation which disrupts somebody else's life. I think that's equally as responsible.
100%.
You can raise questions without having to go there. It was done in our films.
Yes, of course.
We have a great history of making social dramas. Great history of making social dramas, which have pretty much kind of dried out.
Yes.
But we asked some very, very pertinent questions.
And very popular films.
Popular films that did exceedingly well, that challenged authority, that challenged power, that challenged the caste system, that challenged everything. But the language that was used, the way that it was done, you do it with a certain grace and with a certain dignity that's attached to it. And with the minute you're going to get crass and try to sensationalize, it could offend people.
100%.
It's possible.
No, that's a great
and the
assessment.
CBFC is trying to from their end, I'm not saying right or wrong, but from their end, they're not wanting that to happen.
The one thing that I've been very curious about, Farhan, is you've seen an evolution of mounting films, of when you started versus a full corporatization structure that also
Yeah.
did come. I want to know, the constant discourse is about the risk-averse nature of the industry,
Yeah.
on how most things that greenlit have to be attached to an IP or a franchise. And if it isn't, it's tough to mount films that are its sole entity. What is your assessment on that? I mean, this is an example
Right.
of a sole entity.
No, I mean, this is not the only one. We've had,
Yes.
I mean, we've had a film.
Superboys of Maligaon
Yeah,
as well.
Superboys was such a film. And I mean, again, I mean, like, I think we can, if we speak about the most recent film that has done incredibly well, which is a film like Sayyara, for
Yeah.
example, or the animated film
The
Narsimha that's doing well
Master,
right
yeah.
now. You know, they're not franchise movies. You know, so I mean, there has to be something in the film when, dude, I mean, again, I'm speaking purely from myself, and I'm imagining if this excites me, it excites at least a certain section
Yeah.
of viewers that are out there. I want to see a trailer and I want to go like, man, I want to watch this movie.
100%.
That's what has to happen. You cannot tell me in 15,000 interviews, please come and see my film, you will love it, when I've seen a trailer and not love it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You know, I see a trailer and I love it, then whether I hear you telling me go or not go, I'm going. So that's really what it is. There's something in the communication about the film, without you talking about it, what you're showing me in the film, that has to make me sit up and go like, man, there's something going on here. That's all
You know,
it is.
that's been effective for both those films. A solid trailer, visuals, and a
Yeah.
great word of mouth because of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
quality being
absolutely,
there.
absolutely.
Versus,
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
promotion gimmicks at one point of time cannot elevate a substandard product. Probably.
I mean, it will have excitement around it for a little while.
Yeah.
But I feel for films to sustain and have that long haul that, I mean, we associate like our bigger hits with, I feel there has to be something more to it, you know, something unique and something exciting.
Are
Or
you
clutter breaking.
or clutter breaking? Are you a careful observer of whatever comes out every week and the patterns of how the audience is consuming that content?
Not so much so the patterns, but I mean the patterns, they reveal themselves. I don't follow them diligently, but I mean they do reveal themselves, you know. And the thing is that we, like you knew coming into like maybe like nobody knew it would happen this year or the next year, whenever it would happen, but you knew for a fact that there is a film that's going to come along that is not going to be about angry people wanting to destroy the world and kill everyone, you know.
Blood-soaked.
You know what I mean? That there will be a film that will come along that is going to be like a breath of fresh air. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's only that much one can take, you know. And now for those films to do well, they have to be really, really good. Because that formula is running itself. I mean, how much can you keep watching the same thing here? So that's kind of how it will play out.
It's like fatigue at one point.
Yeah,
right?
of course, of course.
I've been then interested on, like, as a producer, do you always have to creatively align with the project that you're greenlighting? Could you also acknowledge it to be commercially something that works, but it's something not for you?
What I tend to do is, if I see that this director really has a vision for what she or he want to make, and I may not be completely on board in terms of what they are trying to do with it, I'll go with their belief on it. I mean, as long as I like the story.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the treatment might be something that's completely far removed from what I would imagine. But I'll go with their belief on it, because I feel that the voice that has something to say is probably the loudest and the most powerful voice attached to a film.
True.
You know, so if you try and water that down by bringing in your aesthetic to it, you know, or your wisdom to it, for the lack of another word, sometimes you could lose that edge and it could go. But I will draw a line when it comes to certain aspects of storytelling. Like, I will draw a line at, I don't want to be associated as a producer or as a director or as a filmmaker with crudity. Like, I just don't. With vulgarity, I don't. You know, with the objectification or sexualizing of women, I am not interested. So those are things that if somebody brings to me in a script, and if I like the script, I'll say, "Ye nikal do bhai." You know what I mean? Just take this out. I'm not comfortable with it. And but beyond that, no, not really.
Not really. Wow, that's so interesting because I was having one time I was doing a roundtable with directors, and I really wanted to know your opinion about this because there was split about this topic, which was, should the director get call on the final edit of the film?
Yeah.
Because they sometimes say that directors fall in love with their world too much, where they lack objectivity of what to edit.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the same?
Yeah, I mean, this is why you need a good editor.
Yeah,
I
of
think.
course.
I don't know why the decision says should it be the director, and more often than not, you'll think the producer.
Yeah.
Is what you'll think.
Yeah.
But actually, it should belong to the editor, and that's what the editor is there for. I think with time, directors also understand what an edit can do. You know, because I've directed my first film. I worked with an incredibly talented editor called Srikar Prasad. You know, who's from Chennai.
Yes.
Has won multiple national awards even before then.
Okay.
Before we met, but the thing that what was amazing about him was when he met me, he asked me categorically in detail many times about what is the story I want to tell. You know, and that was important for him to be able to create. Otherwise, I'm sure if a similar story narrated to made by another director may have a different, you know what I mean, an approach in terms of what kind of story they want to put out there, because you're suddenly dealing with what was 2.5 hours on page when you read it is now 4 hours after you've shot it. So you have to start losing stuff. So you're now beginning to go with a carving knife and figure out like what should this turkey look like, right? You know what I mean?
But you gave him a holistic picture about what the intent was.
Yeah, or what the intent was, you know, and then he worked with that. And so it does become a bit of a partnership between the editor and the director. And I think that's the best way for it to function. I feel if it's only the director that comes and sits, unless the director has a very strong editing background, because there are some directors who do, you know, and if they have that, then good on them. But more often than not, I think the editor keeps your, the potential to really overindulge is taken away by the editor. Yeah. And so I feel you need to trust your editor with that.
You know, because you did speak about your first film, I'm the most intrigued about what was, at least from the interviews that I've seen from the 2000s, because I was a boy who was chronically watching TV, and all that I would hear the cinema news at that point of time.
Right.
And the anecdotes were that, you know, nobody really expected you to make a movie. Nobody really.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm most interested about is facing rejection from your own friends. That's something that made me really wonder on how you persevere despite having that initial experience of people not having the faith in you creatively, yet you wanting to make this a reality.
You know, I think what the actual thing was because I never really followed through on anything for a long time in my life.
This is prior to working?
Prior to working. I would keep making plans about wanting to be this and wanting to be that. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a this. I want to be a that. Dropped out of college. So I think it was more a concern that my parents had. Not so much so my friends at that time. Because I mean, I used to entertain them constantly.
Yeah.
Right? So they knew that this guy's going to end up doing something for sure. And not that they were like CEOs of companies at that time.
Of course.
They were all
relatively
struggling,
new.
trying to find their way. But like with my parents, I think their biggest concern was that like they can see that there's something in this kid when it comes to being an entertainer or, you know, like in this thing, but he's not serious about anything. I think that's what their big concern was, that will he ever get serious or not? You know, and it was on some level like founded in some reality. It had some
Was it a problem also of getting bored too easily, or just because that's something that I experienced in the early 20s.
It wasn't getting bored too easily. You know, I'll be honest with you. For a long time, I was very embarrassed to tell people that I wanted to do film.
Wow. Okay.
I was very embarrassed to tell people. And I think it came from the fact that I thought that people, acha, iske father writer hai, to ye picture he'll do films.
Yeah.
So I had some kind of a very embarrassed reaction to it. it feels like it is but natural that this kid will do movies. Not realizing that that's completely the vibe that I'm putting out there. Keep saying I want to do something else. Till it came to a point where my mom was like, dude, now you either go back and start studying because you're not doing anything. So you finish your graduation, or then you start doing some work and you get a job. Obviously, my dad was just like, how can he not graduate? My mom was like, you can't force him, he's not going to do it. So that's kind of what happened. And then I started just working, and I enjoyed the work that I was doing in film, and that then gave me some confidence to say, this is my place. And this is what I want to do.
You know, with the anecdotes, the most crazy thing that I feel like maybe far gone or relevant of that time is I saw an interview with Saif talking about how actors were very particular about the looks that they had at that point of time. And that, you know, changing it up would be really screwing up with what the perception the audience has.
Will they recognize you?
So like spikes and leather pants and the goatees were quite a leap that they had to take, right? Oh, damn.
Completely.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but Amir was comfortable, I must say. He was probably the most comfortable of the lot. Saif and Lakshya were very, very concerned and a little bit suspicious. Like, is this the right thing to do or not? But I mean, full credit to them. I mean, they submitted.
Yeah, they did.
You know, and they went and paid off for them.
The point of the entire movie that I like when I look back at it, that I envy the most is your experience of Goa then.
Right,
Because that seems like a time machine right now. Because, you know, I love that place. I visited every 3 months.
Right.
But it's completely transformed from what it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I graduated college and it's completely changed. What was Goa like then? I really want to know. And I really want to know, where would you be? Which part of Goa would you be?
So now when I tell you this, you'll be like, you won't be able to believe it.
Baga.
No. Bhaga was at that time what, let me think. Like what a place like Morjim, Mandrem will be now.
Wow.
Yes. Is what Bhaga was then. Right? And so the scenes that we've shot when they're running on the beach, which is meant to be Bombay, but we shot it in Goa. Where Saif and Priya and him and are running on the beach. So that is shot in the morning on Kandolim beach.
Oh my God.
Right? On Kandolim. There's nothing inside. Completely clear. And I remember when we went there, so I started going to Goa, like my first trip to Goa was I think in 1991 was when I first went. And I remember we stayed at this place called Palm Shade. Right? Which was this one little beach thing towards the Aguada side, which was kind of had some little beachfront property.
That time the hotel wasn't there?
No, the hotel was there.
The
hotel was there. So Aguada was there, the village was there, and then there was nothing. Right? And there was one tiny little place called Palm Shade, which had some access to the beachfront on that side.
Wow,
So you could get out of that place and go jogging all the way to Baga and jog back and bump into maybe 12 people, 15 people, you know, that kind of thing. And at one point, there was this one shack that came up on at Kandolim. Or was it Kalangut? At Kalangut, this shack came up called Radha Shack.
Oh, wow,
Right? So that became a pit stop. When you went to walking to Baga and coming back, you'd stop there to maybe have a watermelon juice. You know, like that kind of thing. And I remember I was sitting there and we were having watermelon juice. And there was a Swiss couple, a slightly older Swiss couple, who was sitting there. So, you know, just made like friendly conversations, like, is this your first time here? So they said, no, we've been coming here since the 70s.
What?
So I said, wow. So, and she's like, I cannot tell you how much Goa has changed.
Oh my God.
So for them, that Radha Shack was too much.
Oh my God. Imagine.
So if they came now and saw what's happened to it, they'll probably, I don't know what'll happen. But yeah, it was a very different place.
That's my favorite thing
But the magic in the air is the same.
It is.
That is the same.
I don't care about the criticism. There's something about that place.
There's magic in there.
Yes. My favorite thing is to watch like old videos of Anjuna in the 80s and 90s.
There's this really incredible book. It's called My Hippie Years in Goa by a Swiss lady actually called Dr. Cleo Odzer, O-D-Z-E-R. Please read that book. If you're a Goa fan.
I will. You know, Farhan, in this period, what I've been also very interested in is everyone bringing up, and I'm going to do the same, is bring up Lakshya and ask what your assessment has been of a delayed appreciation for it. I want to ask you, was there apathy or criticism when it first released?
No, there wasn't criticism as such. Actually, most of the reviews were pretty good.
Yeah.
But somehow, I don't know what the reason was. It didn't connect with the audience at that time in the way one had hoped.
Okay.
It just didn't. Now, I mean, I don't know what the reason for that is. I mean, every film finds, they say water finds its level.
Yes, yes.
So that's kind of what happened with it at that time. It was very disappointing for me, for sure. For reasons of just the amount of work that had gone into it, the kind of film that it was, what it represented. So it was a bit disappointing to me. But you're absolutely right. I mean, over time, it's, honestly, like they say, like one of the finest wines. It really has kind of matured in a way that it's impossible for me to go to any part of the world now where people don't speak to me about this film.
Farhan, it's crazy whenever I post about that film, people still have anecdotes about the impact that it still has.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's also, I think the longevity beyond the heart was also the way it shot the Tiger Hill mission.
Right.
It's so vivid in everyone's memory. And I think the reason why I loved the teaser was because I could see the people being there in the real locations.
Right, yeah.
It translates so much better.
Yes, of course it does.
Right?
Of course it does. I mean, we didn't have the benefits of VFX back then. We
Oh
had
my
to
God,
do everything.
it was everything practical, right?
Yeah, everything was practical. But I mean, it was so much, it was exceedingly challenging. But I mean, that's what filmmaking is. Yeah. I mean, when you can pull something like that off, and you have a massive crew that's come together, and becoming like a community, becoming a family, and really, really pushing each other along. It was incredible. I mean, it's an experience, I think, that changed every single person that worked on that film. I don't think anyone came back the same from what they went. Like, I know for a fact that I grew up on that movie. Like, I did. Like, when I made Dil Chahta, I was a boy. Like, I did not even remotely consider myself a man when I was making Dil Chahta Hai. But when Lakshya was done, and when I came back after making that film, I actually felt like I'd grown up when I came back from that movie.
And a lot of people say that as the experience they had also, of the decisions
possibly.
they made as adults.
Yeah, possibly, yes.
Farhan, I mean, this is one Herculean task, and then you're taking another Herculean task that you want to remake this classic film. What I want to also refresh people's memory about, at least for me as a child, when I was seeing those announcements, I remember even back then there was hesitance on the fact that this classic is being remade.
Yes, of course.
Now the discourse is like in our face because of social media. But was it the case then also?
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. I mean, everybody was absolutely off. Like, why are they touching Don and why are they redoing Mr. Bachchan? Nobody can play the role.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, nobody can play the role like him. I mean, he's the OG, and he had his way of doing it. And I think, that's the thing that people don't understand. When you're really like kind of inspired from a piece of work and you're wanting to do it for reasons of love, not coming from a place that I know this is going to be successful. Like, there's something more to it than that here, and Shahrukh loved that movie. Like, I remember when I met him and I said, I'm redoing this. He's like, Farhan, when I was an aspiring young actor in Delhi, I would stand in front of the mirror and say this line into the mirror. And like, today somebody is coming and asking me, like, do you want to play this character? It's like a surreal thing. So everybody was coming from this place of like just
pure love for cinema and the movie.
And loving that movie and not wanting to get into any kind of, we can do it better. And that's not that's not what you do this for. You're introducing that character, you're introducing that film to like a new lot of people in a new kind of way, and the amount of people I know for a fact, when that film was announced, like, there was a generation of kids who were not aware of the 78 Dawn.
Of course.
And they went back and saw it because they were like, there was a film called Dawn, let's go see it. And which was great because they saw that and they thought it's the same one and they got a new ending in this.
Oh, the best ending. The best ending.
So that's kind of what happened. But I mean, but that's that'll always happen. And I mean, Shahrukh's had it twice. He had it with Devdas as well.
Oh, yes, of course. My heart skipped a beat when you brought that up because, I was watching a reel on Kal Ho Na Ho and the top comment was, which movie is this? And I was like, I can't believe a generation doesn't know these
Of
movies.
course,
and
of
that's
course.
the reality.
Yeah,
A lot of them
absolutely.
have no idea.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And I mean, there is a way of course. See, I mean, today also, like I remember when I was younger, because we didn't have the option of watching something online, and again, filmmaking wasn't so democratic like it is now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it's on some level, it's easier to make a film now than it was 20 years back.
Okay.
Like to be able to raise money to make a film was not easy at all.
Farhan, please, you have to elaborate on
Right.
that, because that is something that I don't have answers to.
Right.
When I do research about these movies, how did you get funding?
Yeah, no, so it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like today, it's not only about the funding. I mean, the technology was expensive, cameras were expensive. You could
Manpower.
only show your film in a theater. You know,
Oh,
so
yes.
there
That was the
no
only
option.
medium.
I mean, today I can shoot a film on my phone, and I can edit it on my laptop, and I can release it on the net.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I really want to make a film and put a film out there, I can do it. Nobody's stopping me from doing it. Earlier, you couldn't do it even if you really wanted to do it. You know, you had to find somebody who backed you and gave you a camera and gave you a crew and sent you to a lab to process your negative and
Then
all that-
distribute
yeah,
it,
and distribute it and all that stuff needed to happen. So at that time, it wasn't easy, which is why you revisited a lot of old work. You really did, because it wasn't that accessible to you.
Yeah.
So when somebody spoke to you about Guru Dutt's films or Raj Kapoor ji's films or Dilip Saab's films, you would go back and watch those movies, you know, and you'd find a VHS tape from somewhere and see it. But as technology progressed and as storytelling became more accessible to filmmakers, it became interesting to be able to introduce the story, to reintroduce the story to a new generation. You know,
No,
so
in my opinion,
Yeah.
one of the most slick interpretations of the iconic franchise. I must tell you that I remember first day, first show watching Dawn 2.
Right.
And there was a particular thing that I've only noticed now in 10 years because I've become exposed to Telugu and Tamil commercial
Right,
cinema,
right.
which is the art of introducing a hero.
Right.
And I still remember Dawn
Yeah,
2
yeah.
and how you were teasing
Yeah.
small snippets
Yeah.
of his shadow, his
Yeah,
tattoo. And I can't tell you, Farhan, like, it was pandemonium in the theater.
No, I experienced that.
Yeah.
Because I went to watch that in a theater, and it was an incredible thing to behold.
That is an art. I sometimes want to ask you, like, Farhan, is that sometimes overlooked, the art of commercial cinema and presenting that hero?
See, the thing is, I mean, you want people to have a nice time. That's really where it comes from. And certain films allow you that. You know, certain films which are the larger than life, the big fantastical kind of movie where you're building up this kind of character to be this larger than life character, you can have fun with it, but it doesn't apply to every single
Everything.
film.
Now it seems to be applying to everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Another crazy story or anecdote from that time.
Yeah.
Farhan, is it true that your debut would have been Main Hoon Na? Could have been Main Hoon Na? Did Farah approach you for it?
No, she never did. No.
She never did,
No,
really?
No,
Oh,
she didn't
wow.
approach. So the first film that I was ever approached for to act in
To act in.
was by Rakesh Mehra for Rang De Basanti. Was the first film. So he had reached out to me where he wanted me to play a part in Rang De Basanti, which eventually was a part played incredibly well by Siddharth,
Wow.
who played that part. So he had met me and he had said that I was like, I was just not, I wasn't ready to act. There's a certain lack of inhibition that you need.
Okay.
That when you act, I mean, you have to let go of, I don't know, like you can't be conscious. You know what I mean, when you're acting. And I was not uninhibited. I had serious complexes of my own. And I was so happy making movies. That was off the back of Lakshya getting into Dawn.
Oh, wow.
Is
okay.
where I was at. And it just felt so far removed from my journey to say yes to acting. So I turned that down. Then the other one that came my way, which actually was an experimental film that I did do, but it didn't release till, I don't know, maybe
Fakir in
called The
Venice.
Fakir of Venice.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
So that was like an acting experiment that I had done. But yeah, then Rock On came along, which was
I remember Fakir of Venice seeing the trailer of it in 2018. I was like, Farhan looks really young in this. What happened here?
yeah.
Yes.
That was made, I think, it was a really quick. We shot that film in like some 20 some odd days.
Wow.
And it was shot in 2005.
5. Wow. Speaking of being like chronically on TV, everybody like brings up your balancing act of acting and directing. The thing that intrigued me the most was your stint in TV.
Right.
I remember you were hosting Nach Baliye.
The first season.
Yes, I remember It's Fridays
that's
so
right.
vividly.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was there just like side hustles you were
it
having
was
fun
just,
with?
It was just fun to do it.
Yeah.
I like the concept of It's Friday. I've been a big fan of like Saturday Night Live and all those things.
Of course.
And the talk shows, the late night show and that kind of stuff. So it felt like it belonged in that world. So I thought, why not? I mean, it's something that I do enjoy. What I did realize while I was doing it that at that moment in my time, at least, I mean, I've opened up a lot since then, that I wasn't the greatest conversationalist.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you're too harsh on yourself.
No, I'm being honest with you. I mean, especially as the person who has to steer the conversation. I mean, if somebody else is steering it, I can like openly talk to you about anything. But to be the one who has to steer it, that's an art unto itself. Yeah? Like, all guys do it really, really well. But I wasn't that guy. But so I enjoyed the humor aspect of it.
Yeah.
And having like that kind of like jamming with the actor or the guest that came in, that was always fun. With Nach Baliye, it was like the first actually of its kind that was happening. We hadn't had that kind of show.
Each and every episode.
Yeah, we hadn't had that kind of show here before. So it felt like something new was happening for television. And that to me was exciting. And when they told me Saroj was going to be one of the judges, I was very excited that she'd be there. And again, I think this was 2004, 2005. Yes. And I was sitting with Saroj and Malaika was the other judge. And I remember Saroj talking to me and she said, मैंने सुना है कि तुम डॉन कर रहे हो. So I said, हाँ, like I was still scripting.
Yeah.
So I said, हाँ, मगर मैं कर रहा हूँ. She's like, मैं तुम्हें एक कहानी बताती हूँ. मेरी शादी हो गई थी और मैं चली गई थी मिडिल ईस्ट. मैंने कोरियोग्राफी छोड़ दी थी. और she used to be a background dancer, then she became a choreographer, and then she got married and she moved. She left India and she was staying in the Middle East. She said, मैंने सब काम वाम छोड़ दिया था. मैं मिडिल ईस्ट में फैमिली मेरी थी, मैं वहाँ रह रही थी. और फिर ये फिल्म रिलीज हुई डॉन 78 में. मैं गई वहाँ पर और मैंने ये गाना देखा खई के पान बनारस वाला और मैंने देखा कि यार ये आदमी is having such a great time dancing in this song और मैं जानती हूँ इसे. He always used to say that I don't know how to dance. I've got 2 left feet. But the way and it was actually the first film that he like really danced in.
Oh wow, okay.
All his films were angry young men. Na? If you see Zanjeer, Diwar, Trishul, Kala Patthar, he's not dancing in those movies at all. He's always the serious chap.
Serious.
Rishi Kapoor is dancing. Everybody else is dancing. He's serious. Dawn, he danced. So she said, I saw that and I got so happy and this joy of dance, the joy of choreography came up in me again. तो मैंने सोचा यार मुझे वापस जाके कोरियोग्राफी करनी है. Then I slowly oriented my life to coming back and becoming a choreographer in Hindi film. So I said, wow,
look at the impact of cinema.
What a great story. So then I was writing Dawn ho gaya, and I was constantly thinking that yaar, I want to figure out how to keep that song in the film.
Yeah.
Because it's like an iconic USP moment of that movie. So somehow in Malaysia we managed to bring that song into the script. And we brought it in, and when the minute I knew that song is now going to be there, I called Saroj. And I said, Saroj, we are doing Khai Ke Paan Banaras Wala in this film with Shahrukh. You please come and choreograph it. So for her, it was an incredible life coming full circle where she got to do Khai Ke. And I think she did an outstanding job on that song. And again, with Shahrukh, he just let go in that song. He had a blast.
He was having so much fun.
Yeah, you could see.
You know, Zoya was talking about Luck by Chance. And how she got over the reception of Luck by Chance was get into the next project immediately.
Yeah.
Her coping of whatever the result may be was that if I invest myself in work immediately, then I won't ponder over this constantly.
That's right. You have to on some level. I mean, because as much as you put of yourself into making a film, what is going to happen with it is not in your control. And I think that's an understanding that comes to you slowly. You know, also Zoya, for whatever it's worth, did see what I went through post Lakshya into Dawn.
Wow.
You know, she did see that. She was the EP on Lakshya. You know, so she saw how that film was made. And like we discussed, it didn't do like it wasn't accepted in its time for like as we hoped and anticipated that it would. And it really saddened me, you know, and it took me way longer to move out of, because Lakshya released in 2004. I mean, although it feels like in 2006 I started shooting Dawn, but for a year till I heard the story of Lakshya, till I decided to do Dawn, for that year I was really, really low, you know, and I really wondered that is this for me and should I continue doing it? And you know, like all those thoughts came into my head, and I remember Zoya very clearly speaking to me and saying, listen, you had spoken to me about wanting to do Dawn. This is before Lakshya released. I told her that, man, I love that movie. Why doesn't somebody remake it? And she said, why don't you just do it? That had happened in a conversation. And she's like, you had spoken to me about wanting to do this film. Just put your head into that and start doing that. You know, and that kind of got me out of the kind of little lull that I'd found myself in. And I feel maybe that is something that she applied to herself when it happened post Ladakh.
Now are you slightly seasoned with those ups and downs?
Yeah, you can't take away the feeling of
heartbreak.
Of heartbreak. I mean, it'll always be there. You know, because again, it's not only about you. Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're acting, I mean, there is a director, there's producers, there's your co-cast. You feel for everyone. You know, I mean, so it's not easy to cope with, but you do develop an instinct to say, you know what, on to the next. I mean, that instinct you do develop.
Farhan, would it be accurate to say that almost like Bhaag, Milkha, Bhaag was like the biggest commercial push you've seen as a leading actor?
Oh yeah, by far.
Right?
By far.
Because I remember you being on every hoarding, every promo. I remember everyone was wanting to have that sculpted body.
Right.
I wanted to know, with that role, did that lifestyle also become something, not to probably that extent, something that you just lived by, of being fit consistently? Because you were in the craziest shape of your life, probably.
100%. It completely changed me in terms of my discipline towards work and towards fitness, both. I couldn't go back to being the same person that I was before. That's not possible. I got into I realistically got into fitness post Lakshya, because I remember when I came back from Ladakh, we were there for 5 months. When I came back from there, it was the fittest that I had felt in my life up until that point. I had never felt that fit, and I loved that feeling. And I was like, and not because of doing weights or anything, just living there for 5 months.
You feel invincible.
Yeah, right? You feel really, really good. And I wanted that feeling to stay. So that's actually when I got into fitness for the first time. And of course, it was taken to a whole other level with having to train and transform into Milkha Singh.
Wow. You know, I've been very curious about like the slate of films, say like Excel, Green Lights.
Yeah.
And the most overused term right now, at least with films, is Pan-India. Okay, Pan-India is the spectacle. Yeah. Everyone wants to dub their movies in languages that are not known also sometimes. Sure. But I wanted to know, in the early days of, say, KGF going around for, say, Hindi distribution or presenters, is it true that they were just looking at anyone wanting to look at the North and see the potential of it? Did you see the film and then see that we're on board?
Oh yeah, we saw the film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We did see the film, and I mean, there was something very dynamic about it, you know, and so it was inherently watchable. It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was raw. You know, it had it had a very strong emotional core. That film, even within all its style and within everything that was going on, it had a strong core. So it drew us in here from the time that we saw it. And Yash was very magnetic. I mean, he was like very dynamic on screen.
Like any other sport, when you revisited, it takes time to get the rust off.
Yeah.
You know, with direction now, it's probably a 12, 13-year gap, right? So what are your feelings of taking up that role again?
We're already in prep of Dawn. And to me, it feels like I've just gotten back onto the bike.
Wow.
That's what it feels like to me. I mean, obviously, what has changed hugely in the last 12, 13 years is technology. That's the big change that's happened.
Yeah.
And I think the fortunate part is that it's not that I've detached myself from film for 13 years. So I've been experiencing exactly the growth of technology as an actor, as a producer. So I've witnessed that. But now I'm getting a chance to like kind of apply it as a director. So that's a little kind of like working a little bit more. because I mean, again, when you're just producing or just acting, you don't get into the nitty gritty of how to break VFX down or how, you know what I mean? That's the director does that. So that's something that I'm kind of getting into. But the feeling of directing or I mean, like, is it feeling like, oh my God, it's been so long? It doesn't feel like that at all.
Wow, that's lovely. Then.
Yeah, not at all.
I must say, like, some movies now in clear frames are using just AI prompts for visuals.
Yeah.
Is there a slippery slope with this, or do you see a marriage that can work well?
No, it will be a matter. I mean, it's a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's a tool. I remember when things went from cutting negative on a Steinbeck to going to being digitized. Everybody was like, how will this happen? That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Now people have gotten used to this. You know, when it went from film to digital, everybody was like, what's going on? So technology will keep changing. Yeah, we have to adapt with that. There's no getting around it. I mean, there will be filmmakers now for whom AI will be like what a film camera was to us.
Yeah.
You know, it'll just be that natural to them for them to use. So it's part and parcel of what we do. I think, but the one thing that is the common running theme of films from as far as we can remember enjoying films, loving films, is that at its heart, it's storytelling.
Yeah.
And whatever you use to say it with, as long as that's effective, that's all that matters.
True. We hope the same for 120
Thank
Bahadur,
you.
and the teaser again looks lovely.
Thank
and I
you.
can't
Thank you,
wait
Anmol.
to see more from you, Farhan. Thank you so much for doing
pleasure
this.
talking to you, man.
Thank you so much.